But let's be real, lawyers are scary. They're kind of like my industry. People are afraid to talk to them.
Everybody deserves the liberty, justice, and opportunity that we deserve and expect. And that's our mission.
I feel like so many times, so many individuals nationwide have no idea how much things like legal things, financial things touch their hands every single day. They're kind of ignoring them. Hey guys, welcome to Financial Mastery Simplified. I'm your host, Jax Crider, where we are trying to take things that are in the financial space, financial realm, and simplify them down so that the average individual can understand exactly what's going on. Today we have a guest, Dan Hickox. Dan is got a very unique and very interesting background. So I'm going to give him a couple minutes to kind of explain a little bit of his kind of journey and why he's excited to be on the podcast today. Thanks for joining us, Dan.
Well, thanks, Jax. Always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. Yeah, I have to admit, you don't tend to run into people with my background in the entrepreneurial space. I'm a retired Air Force officer and pilot, retired Boeing senior engineer. So I'm used to large bureaucratic corporate gigs. And yet here I am as an entrepreneur. What the hell was I thinking? Yes, folks, I've earned this gray hair. So it was one of those situations where I thought I had my future mapped out. And then somebody, how rude, just introduced me to LegalShield. And I thought, well, I can always say no. And I'm curious. So let's see what's going on. And I was just struck by, okay, let me get this straight. So you're saying I can get wills and powers of attorney for both me and my wife, no charge. Okay. And I may have some property challenges in Colorado, but I'm getting 3 tax bills, yet I've been paying taxes for over 10 years, 1 tax bill. What the hell's going on? And you guys can help me with that. Yeah, there might be a fee, but we'll give you a discount. Okay. Oh, and at the time I was living in California. Well, gosh, the longer I live here, the more likely I'm going to get sued because that's what happens when you live in California, whether you're at fault or not. And I thought, okay, and you said you've got an attorney's time already paid for that's going to fight that lawsuit on my behalf. And again, there was no bill. That's all true, Dan. And you've been at that time over 40 years, and I've never heard of you. How the hell is that? Well, that's also true, Dan. It's all word of mouth. And I thought, okay, yes, it sounds too good to be true. You guys understand I'm an engineer, pilot, skeptic, and introvert. And yet I thought, if an old fart like me sees value, maybe other folks would see value too. So I did my due diligence. 11 days later, I signed up and I said, okay, let's just do this. Let's see if it's as real as it purports to be. And wouldn't you know, within 6 months, my wife and I saved over $900, which is pretty extraordinary because this is a subscription service that's literally less than $1 a day. And I've been talking about it ever since, and that was 12 years ago.
That's awesome. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know my background, not only do I deal with all the financials and all this stuff like on the mortgage side, but I actually went to law school. So when my industry was melting down back in '08, I decided, you know what? I know a lot of legislation is going to come out of this period. And so in '09, and then I graduated in 2013, I actually went to law school. And to your point, Dan, I learned very quickly that one of the very first things they pretty much teach you in law school is you can really be sued for anything, for any reason at any time. And there doesn't necessarily have to be rhyme or reason to it. There should be, but there doesn't necessarily have to be, right? And I think you and I connected really well when we first kind of met because I thought, wow, what a cool kind of feature that basically there's so many people that do need legal services, but let's be real, lawyers are scary. They're kind of like my industry. People are afraid to talk to them. They also don't know who to go to because there's so many of them, right? And they're all in different kinds of fields, right? So, you've got your attorneys like your family law attorneys, and then you've got the ones who handle torts. And for those of you who don't understand what torts is, that's basically when somebody sues you for something, right? You've got like criminal law attorneys, and you've got business law attorneys. You have all these kinds of attorneys, and trying to figure out and navigate what attorney you might need. And let's be real too. You don't usually want to figure that out until you actually need them. And usually that's a little too late. There's some
Hmm.
proactive things you probably should be doing in your life that you're not necessarily doing. And like, to your point, like you were saying about the wills and stuff like that. Truthfully, let's be real. When you use LegalShield to get yourself a will, you probably needed to have one way before that. And you probably didn't, or maybe had a very basic one at that point. I'm guessing.
Well, with everything else in life, it's all a matter of priorities and decision making. Yeah, okay. So you're fill in the blank, 30 something, 40 something, 50 something, and you've never gotten a will, or it's outdated. Well, okay, you dodged a bullet. You didn't die yesterday. Whew. Okay, good for
Yeah,
you.
thank goodness,
But
right? Thank
we
goodness.
don't, yeah, but we don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the day or tomorrow. The big guy upstairs knows, you don't. So this is all about protecting your family. And I can't tell you the number of people who said, oh, who cares? I don't have that much. Or, um, yeah, it's real straightforward. Everything I have is going to go to my wife. Well, every state has their own will if you don't have one. And most of them were written over 100 years ago. Do you really want a third party judge trying to figure out what you meant to do?
Right.
Especially if you have young children. How do you establish guardianship via a will?
Oh, yeah.
And I can't tell you the number of parents who don't have a current will. I mean,
It's
yeah,
crazy. Well, and it's exactly because of what you just said. People think that they're going to live forever or the bad thing is not going to happen to them. And let's be real, we pray that it doesn't happen to them. We pray that
sure, of
everything
course.
goes according to plan and you die when you're 100 plus of old age, right? Like that is the goal. But unfortunately, real life does not happen like that and it can flip on a dime. And by the time you think that through, a lot of times it's too late. And I think a lot of people don't do it either because one, it's scary and they don't really want to think about it, or two, they think it's going to cost them a lot of money, right?
Right.
And that is one of the things that like you and I had talked about. Like it's such a good thing for lots of reasons, but it's also really good because it allows people to just have this kind of level of protection, right? And like if you're listening to this and you're choosing not to, have some kind of insulated service like LegalShield, at the bare minimum, it is really, really important for you to have a will, and a legally executed will, because it is true that you do not want the state making the decisions. And he's right. Every single state is very different on what their decisions are. And the best part about America, truthfully, is that we have the ability to do whatever it is we want. We can choose to leave everything, at least in Texas, you can. You can leave everything to your dog. And that is a true statement. Okay. In Texas, you legitimately can leave everything to your dog if you so choose. So for those of you pet parents out there who are like, I don't even have anybody to leave it to, you might have someone to leave it to. But you know what I mean? So a lot of people just don't think that through. They just think to themselves, oh, it's going to be way too expensive. I don't really want to think about it right now. And the truth is that like it's super, super important. It really, really is.
Yeah. I like to point out to people that, what's wrong with the legal system here in the United States? Well, nothing if you can afford access to it. But the truth of the matter is, most people don't know who to call, they don't know who to trust, and they certainly don't know who they can afford. And yet, the Legal Shield model, which we've been perfecting for over 50 years, has broken that model and has created a new one. Who doesn't like a discount? Who doesn't like the subscription services that we get? Like, oh, anybody remember what Blockbuster was all about? Well, now we have Netflix. It's convenient, accessible, easy to use, and that's what we're all about. Everybody deserves.
Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message from our sponsors.
Welcome to Financial Mastery Simplified, your go-to podcast for making smart money decisions. We break down complex financial topics into easy-to-understand advice you can use every day. Our experts cover everything from budgeting and saving to investing and retirement planning. We give you the tools to take control of your money and build the future you want. With Financial Mastery Simplified, you'll feel informed and empowered to make the best choices for your financial health. Tune in to Financial Mastery Simplified on your favorite podcast platform. Start your journey to financial confidence today. Welcome to House U, where we believe in the power of education. At House U, we're more than just a brand. We're your partner in home ownership, dedicated to educating, equipping, and empowering you every step of the way. Education is at the heart of everything we do. We offer comprehensive resources designed to make home ownership simple and accessible for all. From understanding mortgage options to mastering home maintenance, House U provides the knowledge you need to make informed decisions with confidence. We host workshops and seminars, bringing together experts and community members to share insights and build a stronger, more informed community. Because when you're educated, you're empowered. House U, home ownership made simple for all. Visit our website or contact us today to start your journey with House U. Empower yourself with knowledge and embrace the joy of home ownership.
Thanks for your patience. Now back to our conversation.
The liberty, justice, and opportunity that we deserve and expect. And that's our mission. Nowhere is it about the bottom line or shareholders or anything like that. It's about, you and me and everybody else out there just trying to live your life. But life happens. Okay, we all know that no one checks out of this life alive. Okay, so we've talked about the wills, but there's so many other things out there. And with our membership, you have unlimited legal advice. Now we have different plans, whether you're a business owner or a individual or family owner. But isn't it great to have advice when you're about to make a decision with somebody who actually knows what they're talking about? No
Well, and I
offense,
mean,
but
you're right too, because a lot of people don't realize, so a lot of people don't realize that you sign contracts all the time, all kinds of contracts, employment, terms of use, there are contracts you're signing all the time, right? And what a lot of people don't realize too is most of those contracts contain something called boilerplate language. So it is language that basically has been created to cover and insulate whoever is giving you the contract to the fullest extent. And a lot of people don't realize, because they've signed these contracts, they think that they have no protection, they have no ability to push past any of that language, even if maybe the company missteps and things happen. They just feel like, oh, I can't go against them. That isn't necessarily true. If you have the availability to talk to a lawyer, a lot of times they will tell you that that's the case, right? That's one of the things that they teach us in law school, is that sometimes boilerplate language can be superseded. However, it does take an attorney to be able to help you do it, right? Because as a general public, you're not going to know that. You're not going to realize that you have other options. And a lot of people are not going to seek out other options because, to your point, it's expensive. And so they're going to think, well, how much money am I going to save? Okay, but I might spend the same amount of money having the conversation with the lawyer, having, et cetera. And the nice part is that, at least with your subscription, you have the ability then to be able to, ask for some advice and see, would it even be worth seeking out? So, hey, hey, Mr. Lawyer, hey, Mrs. Lawyer, this is what I think should happen. Should I go ahead and push something or not? Is it worth it?
exactly. And I coach everybody, and I even remind myself, anytime you wonder what your rights are, think you've been treated unfairly, just have a question. Tap our smartphone app, call the law firm. Our attorneys and the law firms that we hire have every kind of attorney you could possibly need. So consequently, you don't have to know what kind of attorney you need, which is often a stumbling block. And reach out and have that conversation. Remember, there's no meter running, so you get to ask any question that you like. Hey, coach, I didn't understand what you said. I speak English, not legalese. Or let me put this in my own words. You're not worried about getting off the phone because every 15 minutes is going to cost you another $100. Now you get to ask all the questions that you need to understand exactly what you can do to help your situation. Or understand what the attorney is going to do on your behalf and what that time frame looks like. So you get to do all that. So yeah, it's just an extraordinary service in that respect. Knowing that there's no fee, knowing that you can actually do that, now you get to ask and follow up with those niggling little issues that before LegalShield, you just kind of, oh crap, well, that's a $300 lesson, shoot, and you walk on. So case in point, I had just joined up with LegalShield, created a new home office, piece of glass cover desktop. Great. Oh, oops, stress fracture. I'm an engineer. I know about these things. Guys, call the glass company. Guys, you installed it incorrectly. Yeah, we'll be here all week. Come on by and replace the darn thing. Oh, Mr. Hickox, there's no warranty for glass. We don't know what you've done with it. You'll never hear from us again. Have a nice day. And I'm thinking, no, I'm not. But I called my law firm. They wrote a demand letter.
Yep.
Within 3 weeks, I got my money back. Now, I'd be nuts to call a $300 an hour attorney or more for a $150 issue. Wow. Phone call was free. The letter was free. Didn't even have to pay for postage.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, and a lot of people don't realize that, unfortunately, a lot of businesses in general in America, they're not going to do right unless forced to do right. And it is
that's
very unfortunate.
sad,
It really
but
truly
true.
is. But the reality
Yeah.
is that that is the case. A
Yeah.
lot of them
Yeah.
won't do right without it, right? Well, and I mean, I've used the example. I just think a lot of times people just don't realize that it's kind of like finances, and kind of the whole reason that I sort of started and went down this financial mastery podcast to begin with is that I feel like so many times, so many individuals, just nationwide, have no idea how much things like legal things, financial things touch their hands every single day. They're kind of ignoring them. And they also think that these concepts have to be super complicated and there's no resources out there to kind of help them with things. And I think if they dug a little bit, or if they just knew, they might be able to insulate themselves better, right? Like everybody knows that you have to have car insurance. Why do you know that? Well, that's because the states mandate it. You don't have a choice, right? They make sure
Right.
that you have car insurance. But the truth of the matter is, whether the state required you to have car insurance or not, you should have it anyways. Why should you have it anyways? Well, because if you did not have car insurance and you did harm to somebody to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, you most of the time that would put somebody into financial ruin, right? Maybe a few people it wouldn't. Maybe a few people would be able to pay out that money, but you have the insurance so that if something bad does happen, you can deal with it or whatever, right? And plenty of things happen in our lives where legal things are touching them, right? I mean, the reason that I decided personally to sign up for the service was because of exactly that. I was like, there's tons of things that personally touch my lives all the time. And I don't want to have to think about, and I have a huge amount of attorneys like in my Rolodex, as you can imagine, because of the fact that I went to law school. But even for me, I'm like, crap, I don't remember what kind of legal issue that is. Like, is that going to fall under like family law? Is it going to fall under, and there's lots of specificity to it. And I know that at least LegalShield could point me in the right direction. And if I choose to use somebody else for like the big ticket things, I mean, I could, right? Like that would definitely be within my purview, but it just gives me a little bit of peace of mind that I don't have to deal with all that thought and that problem too.
Sure. And most of our services come at no additional charge other than a monthly membership. But occasionally, things do get ugly. And sadly, the law firm has to make money. They have to keep the lights on somehow. So there are occasions where, like that property challenge that I was talking about, yes, it was ugly. It was in Colorado, and yet I live in Texas. So I call our Texas law firm, being a resident of Texas. They got me in contact with an attorney in Colorado who could help me. And he offered me at least a 25% preferred member discount In fact, he charged me $200 an hour. His going rate was $270. That's better than a 25% discount. So he took care of the problem. I got back to my busy life, and for every hour he spent on the job, I saved $70. So it turns out it was really ugly. We had to open up probate twice. It was in my dad's name, and there had been a error in recording a deed like 40 years before, and so it never went into my mom's estate. You can see how convoluted this was. So,
Lots of
you
steps.
know,
One, and people don't realize that a lot of times that is what it is. Like you think it's a simple thing. You're like, oh, there's this little issue, and you think that it's going to be something that's going to be very, simple and easy. And it's kind of like when you do construction on a house, you start it, and it seems like this one little teeny thing, and then it snowballs as you're going on. You're like, oh my gosh, okay, this led to this, and then there was this problem, and then that happened with it. You see what I mean? And it's just before you get too far down the path, you're like, oh man, so many different pieces of the puzzle.
yeah, yeah. And you just don't know. And that's why I think the fact that we offer robust coverage, to your point, what kind of attorney do I need? Well, heck, I didn't go to law school. I've studied some of the law, but yeah, I mean, we have familiarity with doctors because we talk to them all the time. Hey, my knee hurts. Well, you don't go to a heart surgeon for that, certainly. We know that. And you probably have access to a general practitioner who can guide you. Who has access to anybody in the legal system? Well, as a LegalShield member, now you have access to everybody. So, that makes it pretty powerful. And you wouldn't want us to cover everything. If we covered DUIs, if we covered messy divorces, well, gosh, we'd have to charge way more than that $29.95 a month for personal plans. For business plans, it's a little bit more, but then the complexities of dealing with employees and so forth demands, maybe we should probably sweeten the pot a little bit, make sure those attorneys are paying attention to us. But the reality is, you have that access, and you always get to make the choice. Yeah, we're going to have to charge you for this. You thought you were going to suck down a speeding ticket. We could have fought that for you, but it's a DUI. Bad day for you. Let's find that powerful attorney. He or she will offer you that discount. It's up to you to hire that person.
Right.
So,
Yeah. Well, and then I actually also signed up for ID Shield or whatever. So that is something that is helping me personally because like I get notifications when there's something that is on my credit report because like this is something that we deal with in my space all the time. So, people decide, hey, I'm ready, I want to buy a house or whatever. And then a lot of times they haven't thought through or know what's going on with their credit report. And most people are not aware that I think the statistic is something crazy. It's like 75 or 80% of old credit reports have errors, which first of all, that's just mind boggling. I mean, first of all, what industry do you know of where you could have that big of an error rate and still be in business? But welcome
right.
to credit reporting and the credit agencies, and don't even get me started. I could probably talk for about 6 years about how many kind of weird issues and problems. But a lot of times people don't realize that they need to be made aware of when things are changing. And so like the service, like I personally have experienced it, like when something is changing on my credit, I get updates and it'll say, go check this out and make sure that this is actually accurate or whatever, which is huge because I don't have time to go be pulling my credit all the time. And yes, you are allowed, for those of you who don't know, you're allowed one credit report a year. It's not going to give you your score, but you're allowed one credit report a year for free from each of the three major agencies. So that's TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. The problem is, first of all, it's a lot of information, especially if you have a lot of credit. If you have a lot of credit, it's like pages and pages and pages of accounts and how they're reporting and all this stuff. It's a lot. So if you're not used to looking at it, it can be a little bit daunting, number one. And then number two, the other challenge is you don't necessarily know if it's accurate or inaccurate. And a lot of people are not going to take the time to really scroll through it. So in my mind, and you
Mhm.
can agree or disagree, Dan, but like Ideal Shield like sort of simplifies it because they like literally just prompt you with an email and you can just log into your account and see if that's an accurate thing or not an accurate thing.
Sure. And the other thing is identity theft is way more than just, you know, credit card monitoring.
Oh, yes.
Think about, well, your social security number just showed up on the dark web. Oh, crap. Yeah. So, you know, we're monitoring the dark web for such things as telephone numbers, email addresses, physical addresses. We'll look at social media accounts, banking accounts. There's just so much that's identified with ourselves, passport numbers, driver's licenses. So we look at court records, we look at the dark web, we look at sex offenders lists. And if we see any anomaly, we're going to notify you immediately, just like you mentioned. Oh, the credit score has changed. Well, 5 or 10 points, not a big deal. Oh, it just dropped 200 points. And this was the day before you're going to have an interview with Ms. Crider and try to figure out, um, I thought I was going to get a real sweet deal. And now you say, not so fast. What's going on? And so
Right.
ultimately, both from an identity and from a legal standpoint. And oh, by the way, if you have an identity challenge, you know, the fraudsters are out there to cheat. So that's going to entail legal challenges. Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, life's not fun. Um, so it's
Well, it is
great
fun,
to
but the
know.
stuff that's not fun, you want somebody else to be dealing with it or whatever. Let's be real.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You want the
The
expert,
unfun
not
parts. Well, and it just it terrifies me that so many people have not don't have a good handle on it. And honestly, I'll be real, even people in our own space, because I think, oh, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to get my identity stolen. And I have dealt with clients that have gone through that, and oh my goodness, it is a beating. If your identity gets stolen, the reason it becomes such a complicated hot mess is not only do you have to go through the processes of getting all of a bunch of stuff canceled and all these other things. But then when you go to apply to a mortgage and there's like all this negative stuff that's like showing up on your credit, we have to have like all this proof to show that your identity actually was stolen. It just wasn't you being a deadbeat, not paying your bills. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. There's all these kind of different aspects to it. And so a lot of people don't really like think some of that through. And so, I mean, ultimately you have to ask yourself with anything financial, what are your priorities? And I understand that like getting different kinds of insurances, and that's kind of in a weird way what this is, right? What Legal Shield and ID Shield are, they're just like insurances against some of the things that you have to deal with in life. But the question becomes, do you want to pay a very minor amount now, or do you want to pay a more major amount when the event actually happens? And yes, the event might take years to happen, right? Or it could happen tomorrow, and you just don't know. You know what that looks like.
exactly. And the other thing to keep in mind is you use our service once. You've just paid essentially for an entire year.
Well, yeah, or
You
more
know,
so, for sure.
oh yeah, yeah,
Remember you and I
yeah.
were
We
talking, there was a lady on a page, and just kind of I'll explain why I'm bringing this up. So there's a lady on a page that I'm in a mom's group with, and she was asking everybody. So she had come against financial hardship, which is obviously something that is happening a lot in our current economy and things like that. People are obviously trying to figure out, ways to save money. And as credit card interest rates have risen, it's made it really hard for a lot of people to pay these bills. And so, unfortunately, because of some job situation she and her family were dealing with, they stopped paying on a credit card, right? And the credit card had chosen to legally file suit against them. And so she had gotten served legally with a request to basically, she didn't realize that this is what the request was. But basically, what the request was, it was to file an answer. You had to say, you have a legal period of time where you have to go to the court and you have to file a piece of paperwork that says, yes, I owe this bill. No, I don't. Yes, I'll show up at court or whatever. If you do not file an answer by a certain date, they get something called a default judgment. It means that
right,
regardless of whether there was other options there legally, they're just going to be able to get the judgment. And now you for sure are going to have to pay it because it is on the court records. It's on the books. Like, it is what it is. And remember, Dan, I asked you, had she had a service like LegalShield, would they have helped that? Would they have covered that?
Yeah, absolutely. Remember, the advice is unlimited for, again, the kind of plan. This would be a personal situation, of course. Again, whenever you wonder what your rights are, or think you've been treated unfairly, or just don't know, pick up the phone, call the attorney, get the advice that you need. It's what the law permits, but it's that peace of mind that says, okay, now I know what to do. Off I go and do it. At worst, it will be, no, that train already left. Sorry, statute of limitations said you can't do anything.
Correct.
So just suck it up. You screwed up, but you don't have to worry about it anymore because there's nothing left to do. And so in that respect, it also offers peace of mind.
Right.
And,
absolutely. Well, like
yeah.
I said, I think a lot of people, they just forget that there are situations, life happens, right? Sometimes, stuff out of your control. Like, I mean, I've heard of crazy scenarios where people have gotten hurt in other people's homes and then they've sued the person, you know what I mean, for being hurt at their home.
Right.
And technically your homeowner's insurance, I've actually worked in that space too. Your homeowner's insurance does cover you under that, but a lot of people will not want to file that claim. So in that particular case, if it was me, I'd be going to LegalShield and saying, okay, hey, what's my liability here? Do I need to actually file something against my insurance before I do all of that? Right.
Right.
Et cetera. And it's just a good resource to have. Like, I don't know those of you who have dealt or seen in the medical space, but like I have a 2.5-year-old. And so right after she was born, I bought a kind of a similar service to LegalShield, but on the medical side called Blueberry Pediatrics. And the main reason why is because I have adult stepdaughters, but I wasn't around when they were babies. As a sort of newborn parent, I didn't know, if my child is screaming their head off in the middle of the night, is this normal? Like, should I be concerned? And they offered sort of a similar service where I can access basically, in their case, doctors 24/7. So if I have a problem and I'm like, it's 2 a.m. and I want to know, should I be taking my child to the emergency room or should I be, just, it's a normal infant thing that, I shouldn't be worried about. I wanted to have the peace of mind. So it's a similar kind of a scenario.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. We do offer 24/7 emergency services. Emergency constitutes a major traffic accident or any time that your life or liberty is in jeopardy. Getting back to the identity challenges that one might confront, I have two people who were in jail.
Stay tuned. We'll be back right after this message from our sponsors.
Imagine having the power to control your financial destiny, no matter where you start. Welcome to the Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform, where financial education is tailored to your unique journey. We cover everything you need, from basic budgeting and saving strategies to advanced investing and retirement planning. Learn at your own pace with lessons that match your level of experience. Whether you're a beginner or looking to enhance your financial knowledge, join our community of learners and benefit from shared insights and expert guidance. The Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform equips you with the skills and confidence to take charge of your financial future. Ready to master your finances? Enroll in our courses today at the Financial Mastery Simplified course and resource platform. Start your path to financial independence now.
Hello, and welcome to PBJ Mortgage, where your home ownership dreams become reality. Today, we want to share why choosing PBJ Mortgage is the right choice for your home financing needs. At PBJ Mortgage, we're built on a foundation of values that drive us every day. Our commitment to educate, empathize, and empower our clients sets us apart in the mortgage industry. Our clients are at the heart of everything we do, and their success stories speak volumes. With years of experience, our team possesses in-depth knowledge of the mortgage programs, ensuring you receive expert guidance and the best possible rates. We offer a diverse range of loan options to suit your unique needs, including conventional, FHA, VA, and more. No matter your situation, we've got a solution. At PBJ Mortgage, we pride ourselves on providing personalized service. Our dedicated loan officers are here to guide you every step of the way, making the process as smooth as making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We understand that time is of the essence, which is why we've streamlined our processes for efficiency and convenience. Transparency and clear communication are paramount. You'll always know where you stand throughout your mortgage journey. Reach out to us today to set up a call to discover your options. If you're ready to make your home ownership dreams a reality, contact PBJ Mortgage today. Let us empower you during this exciting journey. Phone number 4-693-733-107 www.pbjteam.com. Visit our website or give us a call to get started. We look forward to helping you secure your future home. PBJ Mortgage, where home begins.
Thanks for your patience. Now back to our conversation.
Because the legal system thought they were somebody else.
Oh,
Well, that
fun.
sucks. And oh, by the way, have you ever tried to prove that you are you? I mean, seriously, folks?
Well, and
Yeah, it's not as
remember
easy
that
as,
there's a lot of people with the same names, like especially if your name is common. There's a lot of
yeah,
people with like same or similar names.
yeah. Well, that was exactly the situation where one fellow had been out of the States for a while. It was time to update his driver's license. Here in Texas, you need a boatload of credentials. So it's
You
not
do.
just one and done. And as he was going through the process, the officer there said, "Yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to arrest you. There's a outstanding warrant for your arrest." Apparently, there was some scofflaw, another state over in Louisiana, who hadn't paid any tickets for like 30 years, so he owed thousands of dollars. And Louisiana was anxious to get him under lock and key. Well, they made him do the perp walk, and it's like, that's not me. It took him 3 days in jail before his mom can prove that no, the dots do not connect. I don't think
Wow.
anybody listening to this conversation wants to spend 3 days. Hell, who wants to spend 3 minutes in jail? So
Yeah, especially if
that
you
would
don't
be a
deserve to
great,
be there, right? I mean, like if you deserve to be there, I
exactly.
mean, you might not want to, but at least you deserve to be there. But if you don't deserve to be there, that's awful.
Yes. Now, there's no guarantee. I always say be respectful, be cooperative, ask the question. Really? At 1 o'clock in the morning, you want to call your attorney as we stand on the side of the road because I think you're drunk? Yes, officer, if you please. I'm a LegalShield member. That attorney's on speed dial. May I please call him? No guarantee, but you can be rest assured that when the attorney is speaking on your behalf, it'll go a lot better than if you're speaking to the police officer. Just saying.
Every single one of my stepdaughters can tell you, I've always told them if they have any kind of situation where they're going to get arrested, they're going to have any kind of issue, whether it is their fault or not, they know the very first thing they are supposed to do is say, I would like to have, to call my attorney, and they are supposed to call me. And even though I am not a licensed attorney, I will make sure to get them the help they need immediately. And so it's nice to know that Legal Shield does that because now I can tell them they don't need to call me anymore. I'll just tell them
Right.
you need to call Legal Shield group, and they're going to handle that for you. Thanks.
If they're already a member, we
That's
can't do everything after the fact. We do some things, the advice, demand letters, phone calls, contract reviews. But the other things like that lawsuit protection or the traffic ticket, that's when you want to be the member before that stuff happens.
right. Absolutely. Well, yeah, and like
Yeah.
I said, I mean, I think a lot of times people, so you're probably asking yourself, okay, so Jax, I'm confused. This is a financial mastery podcast, but you're sitting here talking about all these like legal shield and ID situations, etc. But remind yourself, it does touch the financial space because these are touching your lives and they are costing you money and time, and both of those are bleed into the financial realm. So I think a lot of people, when they consider financials in their lives, they think only about money. That's only where their mind goes, right? And big financial type things, right? Car purchase, house purchase, credit, whatever. But the truth of the matter is, so much more touches the financial realm, right? And legal being very much one of those things, because it only takes one or two, sometimes even minor legal issues to really take down your financial house of cards. So when you're thinking to yourself, okay, how do I properly insulate myself at the most reasonable way I can, at the most reasonable price I can, things like LegalShield, ID Shield are great tools to have in your tool belt to utilize. We live in a busy world. We live in a world where there's so much information, you don't exactly even know where to turn. It's overwhelming as heck. And I'm right there with you. And it's why Dan and I connected so well and we're able to have that conversation. And I was like, man, this is really something cool. And so I said, hey, would you consider being on my podcast and just talking a little bit about this? Because so many people don't even know that it's a thing. Like they don't even know that that's an option. So it's such a cool thing, such a cool tool.
And most of this conversation is focused from an individual and family perspective. But also know, as business owners, what Jax has said is still absolutely true, where whether you have legal connections or not, the LegalShield business plan can save you money on the day-to-day issues. Think debt collection letters, contract reviews, business legal advice. Okay, so those are the three most popular reasons that small business owners call a law firm. Well, if you have a plan, most of the services are going to be free unless you exceed a particular limit. The advice is unlimited. There is a set number of demand letters or contract reviews, but still, it's there for you on pennies pennies on the dollar. And the other thing is, remember, this is top tier legal services. So whether you have a LegalShield subscription or you go down to that conventional attorney, we're going to deliver the same level of quality service. It's up to you to decide if you want to pay the thousands of dollars or the hundreds of dollars. It's your choice. We're there to meet you where you are to the best of our ability. So it's all about making an informed decision. And quite frankly, because it's all word of mouth, most people have never heard of us. So I want to thank Jax for highlighting our existence and this conversation. I personally think it's of great value.
Well, and I mean, the whole reason that I started the podcast in general was education. I've worked in a lot of these really practical spaces, property and casualty insurance, right? So like your homeowners, your auto, all that kind of stuff. I've worked in life insurance, so I've been in that space, mortgage. I have a law degree, so all of these really practical sort of financial realm spaces. And what I found over the course of time is, as I answer questions to my customers on the mortgage side, a lot of times they're struggling with other things. There is a lot of other things that they have not thought through. And I say all the time, get wherever you're going intentionally. It doesn't matter to me whether you want to sign up for LegalShield or not, right? It's totally up to you. I'm trying to provide resource and information and ability to be able to do things better and in the best financial way possible. And if it doesn't fit for you and your family, right, that's perfectly fine. I just know for me that I want the information. I want to have the connections. I want to have the ability to go into the spaces and know at least a pretty good general gist of what I'm getting myself into. And unfortunately anymore, with as much information as exists in the world and on the internet, it's really hard to drill it down and just to get the kind of simple basic answers that you really need. And so that's sort of where this whole podcast was sort of birthed out of, is I was like, I can do that for people. I can take these complicated, hard situations and drill them down and say, hey, consider this, right? Think about this. And then what you do with the information is your decision, right? I mean, we live in a wonderfully free country that you and many others that I greatly respect have fought for, right? Or were willing to give up your lives for. And that's amazing. And that allows you to take that information and do with it what you will. Dan, do you have any last minute thoughts or anything else you'd like to share with our viewers before we leave the podcast?
Well, careful. I could ramble on. As a degreed historian, we could solve lots of the world's problems. But
Another podcast, maybe another podcast.
yeah, there you go. No, this has been awesome. There's like an infinite number of stories on how we've helped folks. Again, we can't do everything. But when we can't, we can back it up for a fee. So one way or the other, we pretty well got your back. And I think it's just important to know that that resource is available. And as we've pointed out, it's all about making informed decisions, whether you want to get a LegalShield or ID Shield membership, or what is that in front of you? Well, to make a better decision, you can call your attorney, or you could call your ID specialist. Hey, am I about to get speared or fished or, cheated? Well, yeah, you have resources now. And that's, I think, the real message. You have resources. Don't be shy about asking for help. Folks like Jax and I are here to help you.
Absolutely. I love that. Well, again, thank you so much for listening. And we are here to be a resource. We are here to help. Like I said, the goal of Financial Mastery Simplified is just exactly that, to take financial things, to help you master them and to simplify them in a way that is tangible to our listeners, right? It doesn't matter what your education level is. You do not have to be the smartest person on the planet to be able to be successful in life, right? So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.